What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Real Ones Canes podcast. The man sitting virtually next to me is Cam Underwood. He is managing editor at State of the U, stateoftheu.com, the best website that covers the Miami Hurricanes, open 24/7, 365. You can follow Cam on Twitter at Underwood Sports. I'm Brian the Beast London. You can follow me at Miami Radio Beast. Cam never knows which way to point.
I got it right that time.
It could be, or it could be the other way. I don't even know. No one even knows.
I know. I got it right. You're over there this time.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when it's all said and done. Hey, Cam, it is playoff week.
Yes.
But before we get to that, I just want to everyone that is celebrating a happy Hanukkah. So enjoy your festival of lights in those 8 crazy nights. And also, before we get to the game, I just want, we're getting down to the nitty gritty as it relates to we're almost within a week of Christmas here. And I just want to make sure that everyone just takes it easy out there on the roads. Everyone is stress-free as you're out in the malls and the stores and buying gifts and all that stuff. Just treat each other as humans should treat each other. Because I'll be honest with you, the last few days I've been out and about. It's starting to get a little crazy out there. Starting to get a little crazy out here in South Florida.
It is. And, also I extend those same Hanukkah greetings to everyone. And, just when it comes to the holidays, you just you got to give grace because everybody's going to be out there. Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to be doing the things. I was talking with Beast about this off camera previously around Thanksgiving. I have a system and I go and when I got to go to my local Publix because I have to go grocery shopping because we all need food, before Thanksgiving, before Christmas. Just set the time aside. Know it's going to take a little bit longer. Know that it's going to be packed. It's okay. It's all right. So I know, I'm not saying that I don't get frustrated because I do. But yeah, just breathe, woosah, relax, give everybody grace that you would like to be given. We're all out here doing the same thing, looking out for our friends and families and loved ones. So that's our PSA from the Rock Pod to y'all.
Yeah. All right. Let's get down to it. It is, I think, the best opening round college football playoff game.
Amen.
Coming your way on Saturday between the 10th seeded Miami Hurricanes at 10-2 and the 7th seeded Texas A&M Aggies at 11-1. College Station, Kyle Field, probably about 110,000 when it's all said and done. Although an 11 a.m. start, maybe they'll be a little bit tamer, by 1%, they'll be a bit tamer than they would be if it was a primetime game.
11 a.m. local.
Yeah, 11 a.m. local, noon here on the East Coast. Cam, listen, I've been going over this game for days now since it was announced, and these teams are eerily similar in just a lot of ways. And we'll get to predictions and what we think will happen, but let's dive into it as you've been studying things as it relates to the University of Miami's perspective. What do you see as the challenges that Texas A&M presents this University of Miami team?
It's a championship caliber, a playoff caliber contending team on the other side, on both sides. I think that these teams are really very close to mirror images of each other. They're largely constructed the same, especially along the lines of scrimmage, which we know Mario Cristobal finds foundational to just the sport and the way that he wants his teams to play. Texas A&M has a big physical offensive line, a big physical defensive line. The ACC Defensive Player of the Year is Ruben Bain on one side. The SEC Defensive Player of the Year is Cassius Howell at defensive end on the other side. So when you're looking, you're like, okay, well, big, strong lines, both sides. One of our edge rusher, Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Their edge rusher, Conference Defensive Player of the Year. They have a dynamic slot receiver. We have the same thing. They have a dynamic quarterback. It's a different level or a different flavor of dynamic, but we have the same thing. They have a cadre of running backs with one, really being big and strong and, fast and everything, but he's kind of that whole package, but he's battling a little bit of injury. We have, a stocked backfield as well. They have talent all over the place on defense in the, back seven. We do as well. everywhere you look, it's really Spider-Man looking at Spider-Man, the meme, man. Like these teams, from a personnel and construction standpoint, are way, way, way more similar than people are giving credit for. That's the thing that first of all stands out about me. So regardless of any predictions, regardless of anything else, I've always maintained, and I've said it on here, respect all opponents and fear none. But when you look at this, this is probably the best team that we're going to play this year. Well, we'll have played, even over Notre Dame, right? But in that same caliber of team. And again, I think you and I both agreed Miami should be here instead of Notre Dame. But nobody was calling Notre Dame a 2-10 dregs of the earth kind of a team.
No.
That's a very, very good team who could have, and I think should have been in the playoffs over Alabama, but it's that same kind of a thing. So that's the first thing that really stands out about me, or to me, about this game. If you're looking, well, I'll just leave it there. The first thing is, just monsters, both sides of the ball, teams really built in similar kind of ways. And I think that's going to make for a very good matchup. This is, a 2.5 point line. Like, this is a one-score game either way, kind of thing.
Which I mean, 2.5 points, 3 points is automatically given to the home team in most matchups. So that means if played on a neutral field, this would be a pick'em.
This is a pick'em.
Which is about what this game is, Cam. It is the most important football game that the University of Miami has played in the last 22 years, something like that.
But I mean, I think that there's been only that really because of lack of execution in other games that could have led to this kind of a thing. Like if you look back last year, the most important game that we had played in 20 years was a Syracuse game. We're up 21-0, 3 minutes in the second quarter. What happens? 2017, undefeated last week. Black Friday, I was at my friend APD's house because I went up there for Thanksgiving with him and his beautiful wife. And Black Friday morning at noon in Pittsburgh, a 10-0 undefeated. Remember, we had a hurricane cancel a game that year. Undefeated going into the last game, Miami Hurricanes team. What happened? So, there's been other chances to get to this level, but we haven't been able to do that. So credit to Miami for being able to take this step to get to this point.
Well, the reason why I say that this game is more important than the last two that you mentioned is it's a postseason game. So anytime you get to the postseason in any sport, unless you're talking about the Pop-Tart Bowl, in which case it's not as important. But anytime you get to a game in the postseason, the energy, the everything that's on the line, everything is just amped up, and so that's why that's why I say that.
Sure.
Let's talk about the quarterbacks in this matchup, because while I think the ground game is going to be key for both teams, I think that one of these quarterbacks is going to make a play that maybe gives their team the edge in this matchup. You got Carson Beck on one side. I don't think there's been many people at the quarterback position that have been playing better over the last month of the regular season than Carson Beck. He's been unbelievable. On the other side is Marcel Reed. He's also a great thrower, but he also has that dynamic of being able to run when he needs to. I think this game has two really good college football quarterbacks, and it's going to be interesting to see how they show up on Saturday and how they react to two very good defenses.
I agree completely. Yeah, this is a game this is why you pay the money for Carson Beck or whomever, I'm not making the comparison to Cam Ward because they're very, very different players, but this is why you paid Cam Ward. Now, I know that the team wasn't as good in the defense, but whatever it is, this is why you pay that money. And, credit to Marcel Reed for developing and getting the opportunity there, with the prior players not necessarily working out and then stepping into the spotlight and, being the Lou Gehrig to the previous Wally Pipp and taking that job and never, ever, ever giving that job up. This is a kid who, players and coaches for Miami have talked about highly because he's very talented. and he can scramble, but he keeps his eyes down the field. And the thing is, they make his scrambles turn into explosive plays, basically.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the key thing. Whereas Carson, his scrambles will turn into moderate gains to maybe a first down.
Right.
But usually when, like, if Marcel Reed really breaks structure, then you're having to extend your coverage on the back end, and then, okay, we can find a play and go vertical. Whereas Carson, like, he'll go through his progressions and he'll take off more now. I think that he feels really fully healthy in his body to maybe take a hit on his arm carrying the ball that he was not willing to take earlier in the year. Fresh off, closer to when his elbow was reconstructed. But yeah, two different flavors and styles of player, but really, really talented guys. And like, let's not forget, like, Carson Beck has played a lot of high-level football, man. Like, a lot. Yeah. So, I mean, no, he's not a prior 4-time champion who transferred over here and everything. Like, I'm not saying that, but like, let's not just say, okay, well, I did a Q&A with the SB Nation sister site from Texas A&M, and I asked them questions about it and everything. Like, oh yeah, and their questions for me were, well, how is Miami going to handle, Kyle Field? And I'm like, we've gone places and emptied out other buildings for years, especially in these last 2 years. And even this year, like, though it's fine that they're going to have a bunch of people there. Those people in the stands cannot make plays. Right? They can cheer and everything all that they want to. It's dudes on the field who are going to make the plays. And there's several guys on our starting lineup who say, I love the away game energy. I'm good. I love that. Hate on me. Yell and scream because we have our systems. We have our preparation in place. So I get that it's this narrative of like Miami plays and, like we're playing at the Inter Miami Stadium, over at Lockhart here in Northeast Fort Lauderdale in front of 2,200 people and whatever, like it's, whatever. But like, I think it was a little bit overstated, but I don't know. I think that really when you look at it, the players are very comparable, even though they accomplish things in different ways. And yeah, I do think that somebody's going to need to make a play to win a game.
By the way, the University of Miami as a program has won in College Station. I was there on the sidelines. I forget what year it was, but it was long enough ago that when I was in the locker room after the game, I was introduced to a young high school recruit that was about to come to the University of Miami. His name was AJ Highsmith. So that's how long ago it was. He's now, I think, in the front office of an NFL team like his dad. So it's been a while, but Miami's been to College Station. I will tell you from my own perspective of having been on the sideline at Kyle Field, it is everything that it is cracked up to be as far as a stadium. The 12th man is real. Okay. The entire, when you're in the press box, and this was before the game because during the game I was on the field, but I was in the press box before the game. It was shaking, literally, and I was like, "Are we sure? Like structurally, we're good?" Because it was moving. It was swaying. Like the broadcast booth was moving.
I love that. I can't wait for it, bro. Like it's not something that I'm shying away from or anything. And like I know that they wear with a badge of pride on their chest, but like, cool. Like this is why we play these games. Like this is the heart of college football. Like if you're scared, like frightened, then I don't know what to tell you. But like this should be an incredibly innovating and exciting experience, man. Now it's a tough team that you're going to go and have to go against. A tough team you're going to need to go execute on both sides of the ball and things like that. But like these are the moments that make college football great. I love this.
Oh, big games.
Come on, man.
Big games. Who doesn't like big games?
There's plenty of people who don't. But,
come on. Look, seriously. Okay, listen. If you're watching or listening to this right now, I want you to drop into the comments. Hey, I don't like big games. You know what? I really love when Miami plays a cupcake and we win 57-2. Come on.
I thought you were going a different place with that. But no, I hear you, bro. I hear you. I'm with you. But yeah, I think that this is a great moment. I think that the quarterbacks are they're going to be key. I also think that somebody, and this is a thing I've been begging for years, and we've seen seldom few of these, but I need someone for the University of Miami to make a positive, game-changing program-changing play, right? I was a freshman in 2000. We all know the Santana Moss quote: "Big players step up in big games." That was freshman year, my freshman year, 2000, against Florida State.
Time out for 1 second. Well, because I was there for that game, and see, I always thought the quote was, and I think this is one of those things where like everyone like claims they heard the quote and they know what it was. I always thought it was big time players make big time plays in big time games. Is this one of those like urban legend type things where like he said something, but I thought it was something different? Not to sidetrack us, but it's one of those things that has bothered me for like 20 years.
While we're sidetracking. Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, it was the heart of the idea more than the specificity of the quote.
Okay.
But yeah, debate, whatever. People, I'm not letting you sidetrack me. For Miami, we need that in a positive way, because we've seen so many backbreaking bad plays, right? So I need, and as soon as I said a game-changing, program-changing play, I'm sure that you listening, watching, thought to yourself, where pretty much everybody, where the aligned minds of our fan base went, Trajan Bandy 2017 against Notre Dame, break out the chain again. I need that, right? And again, it's not about every play. It's not even say, oh, well, there was a PBU on the play before that could have been a thing. But if Trajan Bandy doesn't make the interception on the next play, then we're talking about, man, they could have had an interception on the previous play. They could have had this. You could have had da-da-da-da. But in a big moment, somebody's going to need to make a play that elevates Miami to being the victors, is my point. So I don't know if that's going to be Akeem Mesdor or Ruben Bain, or I don't know if it's going to be a big block on a power play by Anas Cooper. I don't know if it's going to be a big throw by Carson Beck. I don't know if it's going to be whatever magic Malachi Toney brings to the table. I don't know. It could be Jacoby Thomas. Apparently, Marcus Ball today said that Keontae Scott is trending towards being closer to being able to play. Maybe he makes a miraculous play in his return to the field, Keontae Scott the nickel. I don't know who it is, but I know that we're going to need it. And so offense, defense, special teams, wherever, whomever, and you probably need a couple of them, somebody's going to need to step up. And while I say that in the viewpoint of the University of Miami, our alma mater and the team that we're really talking about, it also stands to reason that Texas A&M is looking for and would like one of those or a couple of those plays to help them. Because again, I think that these teams are very, very, very closely matched. So a game-changing, game-breaking kind of a play will be the stuff of legend that will propel a team, whomever, forward to the next round of the playoffs. So that's really what I'm looking for. It'll be interesting because, especially if you look at Miami on offense, which is a point that I want to bring up, the two things that Texas A&M struggles with are, and I had a friend look this up and tell me, Texas A&M is in the 115s or 100 teams.
I know where you're going.
In defending inside zone.
Yep.
Like them versus the inside zone run scheme. Yep. One of the worst in the country.
Correct.
For a very good and a very strong and a very talented defense. I said, what? I said, yep. So it sent me a thing. Cool. So that's one. The other thing, and so that can be foundational to Miami's offense. And we know that Miami is an applauding but efficient offense where they're going to get their chunks, as in step by step by step by step, not really have those nuclear explosive plays. The other thing that Texas A&M on defense struggles with is they give up tons of explosive plays.
Yeah.
And if Miami is able to have the kind of efficiency that we've seen from them, just moving the chains, hey, good old-fashioned efficiency, 10, 12, 14 play drives, or those kind of things, but then you sprinkle in a couple breakdowns in their secondary, which have happened, and all of a sudden you're adding in some explosiveness for the Miami offense. If you combine those things, I think that's a path towards success. We need to go do it, but it's possible.
So you talk about there's being susceptible to the inside zone run, and just another factor as it relates to the run game for the University of Miami, and why I think Miami will want to challenge Texas A&M's front seven with their run is that Texas A&M is actually, despite how good their defense is, they are in the lower, quarter in the country on yards after contact in the run game. They give up I think they give up 5.5 yards per carry in the run game, and over 3 yards of that is after contact. So, so they have an issue when it gets to the running back gets to the first level and he is not brought down, and then the running back will get to the second level because of that. So that is something that is going to play into the University of Miami's game plan. They also have given up the big play on offense, as you said about Texas A&M. And you mentioned Malachi Toney, and I want to, Mario was asked about this, I think it was yesterday after practice, which was, hey, how about the health of CJ Daniels? And I thought that question, I think it might have been Chris Stock from Inside the U that asked it, but I thought that was important because clearly Texas A&M and Mike Elko was a safety and he's a defensive coach. Clearly they're going to have all eyes on Malachi Toney. So who else is going to step up for the University of Miami to make a big play in the passing game? If for some reason Malachi Toney is just blanketed and you just can't get him the ball. Well, I mean, yes, we've seen Marion, right? We've seen other guys step up, but a healthy CJ Daniels in this type of a game, a veteran, a leader, this could be an opportunity for him to kind of get back on track from where he was before the injury.
I very much agree with that. And for someone like CJ Daniels, I know that we want and need and have players who are intrinsically motivated. Like they look inside themselves and they say, I want to do the best because that's how I'm built. With extrinsic motivation, brother, every play that you make on this stage is money in your pocket for the NFL draft.
1,000%.
So you had these plays, prime time, still making fun of Florida State, doing the war chant into the camera in the end zone. You had catch of the year in week 1 against Notre Dame that people are still talking about, bro.
Yeah, amazing.
Like you did things in big spots, and then you had a little bit of an injury and everything, but you still, look, everybody knew about the touchdown at Pittsburgh because they wanted to try to use that against Miami, but you've been making these plays in spots that people have noticed. Now you're on center stage in the playoffs against a very talented Texas A&M team that only lost 1 game this year. Brother, every play you make is money in your pocket. So, yeah, you should be hoping for that. Keelan Marion, same kind of a thing. And, I know that we've, at this point, freshmen or sophomores, the ones who have played. Joshua Moore, you get an opportunity, go hoop. Dalen Upshaw, you get an opportunity, go hoop. We know that Malachi Toney is going to bring it because he's arguably the best player on the team. Full stop at this point, at the end of his true freshman season.
Ooh, that's whenever the season is over, we're going to have a good conversation about who the true best player on the team was.
We are, and it's a thing where it's not. I'm not making any declarations about what my future answer is going to be.
Right.
Malachi Toney is squarely in that conversation. Whatever the outcome is, you know what I mean? So yeah, but you got to go out there and make those plays. I think that's a great question by whomever asked it about CJ Daniels. But the opportunity exists for lots of players. If it just came into my head as I was saying this, if all of these program sources were to ever be proven right about Elijah Lofton being the most talented player on offense or one of the best players on the team or all the things that they continue to say, and he has stepped up his game in the last month, so has Carson Beck and all these, I would love that. And you're closer to home for Elijah Lofton, a Las Vegas native, you know what I mean? So you're over there. He's not from Texas, clearly, but this is another big stage for him to announce to people. And then I would feel better about him coming back on this roster next year if he were able to do that. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're going to need players to be able to do that. And then you're going to, even with looking at who else will be making plays on the Miami offense, you are required to get the ball to Malachi Tony. And Shannon Dawson knows that, and it's foundational to the success of this team at this point. I mean, he's one catch away from setting the all-time receptions in a single season's record, and he's 14 yards away from 1,000, I want to say, as a true freshman, to be the first true freshman ever in Miami Hurricanes history to cross 1,000 yards. He already has the freshman yardage record. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. By the way, he is 970 on the season.
970. Okay, so it was 14 or whatever from the so cool. He's 31 yards or 30 yards from 1,000.
Right. Yes.
Cool. You got to get him the ball. So I know that we're looking at who else, but and this is where I talk about the teams being equal, or not equal, but kind of mirror images, because we're going to be looking at ways to take Casey Concepcion out of the game.
Oh, for
the
sure.
slot receiver from NC State who transferred over there. So they're looking at, okay, how are we going to mitigate Malachi Tony's impact on defense? We're looking at how do we mitigate Casey Concepcion's impact.
Well, let's think about him for a second, but we'll do it on the other side.
Okay.
We've got a lot to get to as it relates to this game, and I'm going to make Cam angry because I'm going to bring up something I know he doesn't want to talk about, but not in the way that he thinks we are going to talk about it. So we will see what Cam's anger looks like on the other side.
You are listening. Perplexed. Whoa. Okay.
You're listening and watching the Real Ones Canes podcast. We're back here on the Real Ones Canes podcast. He is Cam Underwood, managing editor, State of the U. Follow Cam at Underwood Sports. I'm Brian the Beast London. Follow me at Miami Radio Beast. Cam, stateoftheu.com. It is the best site to go find your Miami Hurricanes coverage. I just took a glance, all sorts of great stuff up there. What do we got at stateoftheu.com for the people to chew on after they listen or watch this podcast?
Bunch of great stuff. I actually misread our timeline and editorial, so I will actually be putting something up later today. But here's our website. Casey Nevijay says the word of the day is antsy. So he has ants in his pants getting ready for the college football playoffs. Here is our opponent Q&A with Good Bull Hunting, Robert Behrens from their site. I got to ask him a bunch of questions. I thought this was going to be a two-parter, but whatever. So 12 burning questions that I had for him about the Aggies and his responses. So you have that. We have our Monday musings. We have AP All-American stuff. We have our story stream for the playoffs over here on the left. And then next to that, we have our story stream for National Signing Day, which I'm leaving up as well. Jake Marcus, Miami made the playoffs. Now what? We have 5 of 5 down from Craig T. Smith, all of that, and plenty more coming your way, stateoftheu.com. So please come fan with us. We got lots of great stuff, guys, for the low price of free, and I'm writing a couple more pieces and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, we're very excited, just like, on the website, like we are here on the podcast about, Miami making the playoffs and moving forward, hopefully.
Stateoftheu.com is what you need to go to. Let me ask you a question. In your Q&A with the opposing site for Texas A&M, did they ask you questions too?
They did. I
just have a question about that. You don't have to. You don't have to go crazy here. Besides asking if Miami could handle a crowd, which has been overblown, what else did they want to know about the University of Miami?
They have not posted my end of the Q&A, which is unfortunate because I definitely did that. Let's go and look because I honestly don't remember.
Perfect.
Let me see. And I'm me, so I pushed back on the framing a little bit. They asked a question about basically what do we feel about the season? They used the word roller coaster, which I pushed back on. Asked about Carson Beck, offense, defense. They wanted to know about the away game and the atmosphere, and then just kind of behind the curtain, so who are some of the playmakers on this team, and a couple other things. So just your general kind of stuff. I tried to dig a little bit for some specificity on some things just because I thought it was interesting. They're an interesting team, and they've been very successful. So, I looked at it a little bit differently. Yeah.
So just real quick, before we jump into their offense against Miami's defense, I'm just looking at – listen, they beat Notre Dame 41-40, right? And other than that game, most of the rest of their conference games were against the worst part of the SEC, the lower half of the SEC, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, it's weird to say that LSU wasn't good, but they fired their coach for a reason. Mizzou was ranked at a point. I get that, but they almost lost to South Carolina. They were down by 27. They played Florida, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Auburn. Like, these aren't the creme de la creme of the SEC. And then they rolled into Texas and lost by 10. So what are we to make of that as it relates to how good they are?
I mean, especially with these conferences going to such massive sizes, it's exactly what we saw in the ACC.
Don't get me started.
You're going to have unequal footing for comparison. Now, this is a team that played very, very well, and they won all of these games. And in a measure, I think that them winning some of these games and the way that they did is, kind of why some people are no longer where they used to be, I mean, Auburn 16-10, that, was before they fired their coach. But that's a tough game at home, one they could have easily lost. I mean, they beat Florida by 17. They almost lost to Arkansas, 45-42. They definitely almost lost to South Carolina at home. It's, to me, I think that when you look at the games they played and how those games actually went, this is a gettable team. This is not a juggernaut against whom Miami has no chance. And they've played in some close games. Again, I submit to you, Auburn by 6, Arkansas on the road by 3 in a game that Arkansas really, really, really feels that they should have won or could have won. Notre Dame by a point, and South Carolina by a point in a game where they were down 20 whatever at the half. So I know that they won those games, but the other team still had success against them. And so to me, it just says if you're able to sustain your success, which the other teams had, but it was unsustainable. Like, they had the success to a point, and then it kind of flipped up. It shows to me that you can go beat this team. However, also credit to Texas A&M for having the fortitude and the gumption for having gone down in these games and still found a way to win.
Sure. Listen, they're a really good team.
They're a very good team, guys.
Very good team. But I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe some Aggies have found our video or audio because of the algorithm.
Hello and welcome.
When I say this, they're going to disagree. But this Texas A&M team is by far not the stud LSU team that won a championship, or a stud Alabama team, or a stud Georgia team that won the championship.
Agreed.
Like, those teams were just amazing in all facets. This team is really good, but there can be some holes, at least on paper. I don't know what's going to happen on Saturday, but one thing I do know that's going to happen on Saturday is that Miami's going to have to pay attention to a wide receiver that this program has seen before, because he used to play at NC State. He played against Miami as a freshman. He had, I think, 60 yards receiving on, a handful of catches, something like that. And that's Casey Concepcion. He's from North Carolina. He's of Puerto Rican descent, and he can be trouble. He's got 886 yards on the season and 9 touchdowns. He's someone that the University of Miami is going to have to keep up with on Saturday.
Yep, just looked it up. 5 catches for 61 yards in a 20-6 victory over Miami. Was Casey Concepcion?
Yeah, that was a Tyler Van Dyke 3 interception game.
Yes, it was, with only 6 points. But yeah, Casey Concepcion, he was a freshman All-American for his performance that year. He is a dynamic playmaker from Charlotte, North Carolina, 5'11", 190. He's a guy who has, 2 punt return touchdowns this year, 9 receiving touchdowns, a rushing touchdown. So a jet sweep, I think, kind of a thing. So again, when you look at how he plays and what he does and the scheme of the offense, it's a lot like what Malachi Toney does. Not the same guys, but, in that Swiss Army knife, utilitarian interior offensive threat from the slot position. So, yeah, this is a guy that Miami's really going to have to pay attention to. You're going to have to look at all of the different kind of route combinations, whether it's running the over route that's kind of a bendy, whether it's a seam route, whether it's a whip route, whether, just one-on-one on third down. If you're playing man, you're going to have to really account for him. And, you're going to have to account for a lot of things, in this offense. But, yeah, Casey Concepcion is definitely a star. I did ask, I will say, Rob Behrens in my Q&A, I said, what's the superpower of this Texas A&M team? And I'm giving away some of the sauce on stateoftheleague.com for free, so you guys are welcome. But his answer surprised me, and he said it's the passing game for Texas A&M. That's our superpower. I was expecting something about the defense. I was thinking something about Cassius Howe, and I just asked it open-ended. I just said, yeah, whatever. And, yeah, he said the passing game, and Casey Concepcion is a huge part thereof. So you're going to need to find ways to address and mitigate that. Now, Miami has done very well on pass defense this year, as opposed to previous years. Where is hold on? I need to get here. Passing defense split stats. 2,300 yards with 11 tuds and 12 picks for opposing teams this year. And when you think, okay, that's 191 yards a game average allowed passing. This defense is really, really good. And you're thinking, okay, well, I don't have context for that, Cam. Last year, click website, Miami gave up 215 yards per game, but 22 tuds. If you go back, again, 216 yards per game. You go back 233. If you go back 251, you go back 240. So you're talking between 35 and 40 or 50 yards fewer pass yards allowed on average, and the first time in forever that we've had more interceptions than touchdowns allowed. So, you have a defense with the ability to be competitive against the pass, and you are very hopeful, again, that Keontae Scott is able to return because it's a big part of that, and you get the pass rush up front to make Marcel Reed speed up his tempo and then not have time to find receivers.
The interesting thing is their receiving core, just the receivers, are actually smaller. They're not very tall receivers. Now, they do have some tall tight ends, including a 6'6" dude from Sweden, which is an interesting situation. It's like, oh, we need a big guy. Bring in the Swede!
Theo Melin Åström.
Yeah. TMO. Feel free to, I'm not going to go beyond that. So that's going to be some interesting matchups. I want to talk about the running game for a second because they've got Ruben Owens II has 112 carries, 618 yards, averages 5.5 yards a carry, has 5 touchdowns. Their second leading rusher is Marcel Reed, right? 89 carries, 466 yards, and averages 5.2 yards per carry and 6 touchdowns. Now, their third leading rusher is a guy that's really good, Le'Veon Moss. He suffered an ankle injury earlier in the season, so he only had 70 carries and 389 yards. But he is rumored to be coming back for this game. He's been practicing for a few weeks now. So that could be something that Miami has to contend with, is not only a running back and a quarterback that can run, but now two running backs that are really good and a quarterback that can run.
And your bigger, better running back potentially returning.
Right.
I know that the Owens kid, 5-star recruit, everybody wanted him. Le'Veon Moss was more of a 4-star recruit, but he's a senior and he's put it on the field in the SEC for years. So leave the recruiting rankings at home like that. He was your starter for a reason. Right. You know what I mean? So yeah, they definitely do have, if he comes back, if Moss returns, they will have options in the backfield, and Miami will have to really, really work hard to curtail the run game. And we know, you can dress up things around it, but the thought process of building this team was very, very clear. Mash people in the face on offense and run the ball down their throats. Stop the run and put them into third and longs on defense, and then be able to bring blitzes and coverage, packages to disrupt them. That's just, you can debate the finer details, but that's your macro kind of view of this team, their construction, and the way that you want to play. So, yeah, you're going to obviously want to focus on stopping the run, and you're going to have to contend with Le'Veon Moss and Ruben Owens II, and some Marcel Reed scrambles, because you cannot play man free and turn your back to the quarterback, because he will take off and he will hurt you with his legs. I'm very interested to see Corey Heatherman defense again against an athletic quarterback. We've faced them several times this year. We've done fairly well. For the most part, you curtailed CJ Carr, but you had a couple of plays that he was able to extend that turned, into big plays. You did a yeoman's work, the best job of anybody in the country against Byron Brown. You did a great job against Kyron Drones, although everybody else on Virginia Tech ran the ball down your throat. So I'm interested to see. And then the Heinschel kid against Pittsburgh, you did a good job against him. So, that's at least 4, and there's probably another one off the top of my head that Lagway was injured, but Lagway counts. So you're talking half your games almost against mobile quarterbacks and really, really doing a good job. You're going to need to have that kind of performance against Reed, but you're going to need to have the kind of performance against the run game also to stifle them, and then really, really, really bring your A game, everybody across the board in the secondary against the passing game as well. And Teo Malin Ostrom, because it has little umlauts over the O's, Ostrom, the big tight end. Let me click on his player page. I don't know, because I knew about the other one. Where? Oh, I went to rushing. Sorry, passing. There we go. He 6'6", 260 from Stockholm, Sweden. Yeah.
Yep. I told you, you need something, get the big Swede out there. One thing I actually just noticed, which may come into play if this one is tight, is Texas A&M is 15 of 24 on field goals this year, whereas Miami is 15 of 17. So they've missed 9 field goals this season. Also, their touchback percentage is only 64%, whereas Miami's is 89%.
Yeah. Yep. And that brings me to the kryptonite, because I did ask Rob Behrens about that. Okay. And exactly what you said. He said, I don't know what you were looking for. And I was thinking to myself as I read the answer, I was looking for whatever you get. That's why I gave you an open-ended question. Like, you gave me the superpower, Superman, so now give me the kryptonite. He said special teams. He said the kicking game. He said it's been a roller coaster. It's, almost cost them games. The field goal kicking, the punting, the kickoff kicking, and coverage units, like all of those things in special teams. That's what he noticed. So, good on you for bringing that to the forefront. And that just also supports what I heard from, a Texas A&M Aggie, and one of their lead riders over there at Good Bull Hunting. So, yeah, very interested to see how Miami can leverage that to their success against Texas A&M.
Yeah, listen, the little things matter. By the way, both teams are heavily penalized. I think Texas A&M has 90 penalties and Miami has 91 penalties. So that's not going to be that we're not going to talk about the Miami being the worst or the better of the teams. They're both the same.
I literally have that on my screen on this other tab.
Yeah.
Here. So yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing. 13 penalties at Notre Dame. Okay, so it wasn't just us.
By the way,
and then 13 the next week against Auburn. Kept that game close.
What I was going to say, the next little, if you're looking, I'm just looking at little things, because a game like this, turnover ratio, Texas A&M is -7. Miami Hurricanes are 9. So that's a big
positive 9.
Yeah, positive 9. Yeah, sorry. Positive 9. Yeah, that's a big difference. That could make the difference.
Hello. So, yeah, I love the fact that you're looking at the margins for areas of exploitation potential. And yeah, when you have teams that are this closely matched, you're going to need to find success in those margins to really lead you forward. So, yeah, I think man, I like this version of you, Brian. Look at you doing some research and bringing data points and everything. My man's in playoff mode. He said, bump that, Cam. It's not just going to be you over here. I like numbers. I got numbers for you. What's up with it?
Well, we won't talk about the graphics I had ChatGPT make before the show. And I don't know where it pulled pictures, names, or numbers, but it was definitely not right. That's all I can say.
It was so egregiously wrong.
I believe it said
to
Marcel
process.
Reed, but the picture was actually Connor Wegman, which was an
Correct.
interesting situation.
Yes.
And then it had Cam Ward facing Connor Wegman, and I don't know where it pulled the numbers from, but it definitely wasn't 2025. And I didn't really look at it after I made it. I just threw it up there, and Cam looks at this graphics like, dude, what the heck is happening here? Like, let me get rid of that. Let's not use that graphic.
Yeah, it used the full government name. It said Cameron Ward in like 3 different places with a Carson Beck.
Well, by the way,
kind of looking dude wearing number 7.
I don't know what. I don't know what that was, dude. I have no idea what happened.
It was real bad.
Oh yeah, it was not good. Let me ask you this question.
Oh, are you good? Is this the Make Me Mad portion of the?
No, we're not there yet.
Okay, cool.
We have to give a prediction on this game first, and then I can switch subjects for.
Okay, cool. Yeah, ask me the question. I'm sorry.
Mario Cristobal continues to say, "Hey, we train early, so 11 a.m. start. That's in our prime. That's our prime time." And every week that we've played a noon game, I've been like, "Oh man, I'm worried about that." And now I'm almost overly confident about Miami's ability to come out fast, even though it's an 11 a.m. local start time.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that bodes well for Miami because, again, the Aggies fans won't have had, 10 hours, 12 hours of prep time to scream their heads off.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that plays into any of this?
Narratively, honestly, I don't think that it will have any tangible effect on the game. I think that, it is you would like to have a night game. Actually, I'm really glad because I have plans with friends that I've had, because we're adults, so it takes, 6 weeks out. And so with this game, I was like, oh my God, please give us an earlier game because I have plans that evening, But yeah, I can see for like a Texas A&M feature game like we had in 2022. That's there at their place, whether it's a LSU game at night, you want the night game, and then it percolates all day and everything. I'm just saying, from a narrative standpoint. But yeah, I think that it'll be an interesting scene. Like they've clearly been building up for this for weeks already. Like Miami's been preparing for this and everything. So I feel good that we'll, do our best to bring our best, but I don't think that the kick time will really have an impact. Only if, I don't even really want to say it, but like pretend that the team gets there and then everybody has some bad brisket so that they're having that
go through them. Stop! What are you doing?
You would want it to be a later game so they can get more fluids, but in that hypothetical exclusively. But other than that, it's a nice story.
Why would you throw that out there? Why would you even throw that out there?
Because you're going to make me mad later, and I just got you now. There. How you like them apples?
I don't like them apples at all. I don't like them at all. Here's why I asked you about the time, though, is I think it actually plays well for the University of Miami because if there's any chance that they can come out and have an early score or get an early turnover or what have you, I've been at Texas A&M and seen a University of Miami team win there. And yes, there's over 100,000 people and they are crazy, but start to get them doubting about their team, not so crazy. And I think that's really important.
I don't know if you watch the SEC shorts.
I don't, of course.
They're hilarious.
No, I'm good. I'm trying.
But one of their so they do like, SEC recaps every week, presented by one of the banks down south and everything. And one of their recurring characters for their schools is battered Aggie syndrome. For any time that Texas A&M does well, it's, one of the ladies of the troop. She has this t-shirt. She shows up and the guy's just like, no, like, shut up. Like I left you at home. Like, don't do this. Like, why are you here? The kind of a thing. And I could just totally see, and you got a measure of that against Texas, clearly, because I picked them to win that game. I think everybody did. Yeah. And then, well, we see what happens. And then that battered Aggie syndrome, that seed of doubt of like, it can only be but so good comes in, and then you get an early turnover, a little bit of an early lead, and I could see the battered Aggie syndrome kind of affecting them also. But we just need to come out and do our thing.
You have a prediction for me?
I do have a prediction for you.
Good, because I have one for you.
Outstanding. My prediction, as I don't know if it's going to go up on Good Bull Hunting or whatever, or when the Canes Muse graphic drops later. I think that these teams are very equal. I think that they are well matched. And with that, I feel comfortable leaning into my fandom a little bit and predicting the University of Miami to win by a score of 27-24.
Dude. I too. I can, if you'd like me to screenshot the text that I sent Cane Muse as to my prediction, it is 2, Miami 27, Texas A&M 24.
Well, okay. I will say, however, actually, no, it was not that. I have 31-27.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
I had it a little bit higher, but I said, you know what? I think fewer points is probably going to be the order of the day. And I guess I had convinced I had to go look, and I was like, did I really say that? I think I'm leaning more towards 27-24 now, but I did predict then 31-27. I think when I emailed back to the A&M guy, the writer, and I said, change it to 27-24. So somewhere in there. I have a couple numbers out there, but I think it's a close game. It's a little bit of bravado, or a lot, however you want to look at it. All I will say, without giving you the score, when I asked, and it's up on the website of StayU.com, please go fan with us, please go check it out. He predicted a double-digit A&M victory. And I just questioned that, because I'm like, we haven't lost a game by double digits in 2 years. So, since the 2023 season.
Look, none of us knows what's going to happen. Sure,
I hear you, but
throw that out there. But if you just on paper, you can convince me that Texas A&M is going to win this game easily, right? No problem. But to double digits, huh?
Right, that was the thing, and I saw it, and I was just like, well, hold on, and we lost to Louisville by 3, we lost to SMU, overtime by a score, because it was tied in overtime. But that's by 6. Then you go back to last year, lose by 5 at Georgia Tech, and then 4 to Syracuse, and then the bowl game is whatever. But I'm like, and that was only 1 point. But I'm like, where's this Miami team that gets blown out that you're predicting? Even against other very, very good teams. And again, I very much respect Texas A&M. I very much respected Notre Dame as well, and I believed that Miami was going to win that game, and I was proven true. But the point, or the fact of they're this is easily a double-digit, victory. Either way, I think is a little foolhardy, given the level of competition and the construction of the team on both sides. Going into this game, I would not predict Miami to win by 10-17.
No way.
Absolutely. Because, again, I respect A&M, and I think that they're very, very good. And I think that we're closer than a blowout. Could it be if some things, if you get a big turnover ratio day in Texas A&M's favor, and could it? Absolutely. But just predicting that off spec, and I'm like, again, we haven't lost a game by double digits in 3 years. Going back until 3 years ago, where that came from, I was just wow, okay, cool.
Well, they say everything is bigger in Texas, which must mean Aggie egos as well.
Maybe, and he's not the only person. I listen to a lot of sports stuff. I heard Bomani Jones. He said he doesn't believe that Miami can hold a candle to A&M. He didn't think it was going to be competitive. I heard a couple other people say they didn't think, and I was just like, I don't know how much actual Miami football you guys are watching, especially when, I heard Bo say, well, you're talking about needing to be in the playoffs, but you survived on a late field goal against Notre Dame and barely did it. And I'm like, that's a scoreboard watcher.
Yeah, you didn't watch the game, bro.
You know what I mean? And I get it, and that's fine, but then you're going on your national show and you're saying this, and I heard a couple other people. I most recently listened to that episode, which is why I called him, longtime fan of that creator and everything, and a journalist. So yeah, but I was just like, so hearing that from him and a couple other people, I was just like, I took it with a grain of salt, but it was still like, I don't know. And then seeing that from Rob, I was just like, I don't see double digits. I just don't see it either way. But
agreed.
We're going to have to watch the game on Saturday to find out.
Things to be tight. All right, real quick before we get out of here, this is where I'm going to anger you, but I'm not going to anger you. It's going to seem like I'm about to anger you, but I'm not going to anger you. So you could choose to get angry, or you could just wait and not get angry. It's up to you. You ready for it?
Go.
It's transfer portal season. The University of Miami might be looking for a quarterback. There's plenty out there. This is where you're about to get angry because you told me we don't want to talk about this. So I'm going to say, if that is the case, because Miami is in the playoff, how does the timeline work? What is happening right now as all these guys are putting their name in the portal and the University of Miami is busy getting ready for a playoff game, and other teams are able to dissect all that stuff while Miami's getting ready for a playoff game. I'm asking you, how does this all work now? With the schedule, with the timeline, because I the other day I'm like, well, if they do, whatever it is, they're looking for a tight end, they're looking for a tackle because that kid's going to the draft, like whatever it is, like Miami's there's 12 teams that are getting ready for games, and the rest of the country is out there, scouting the portal. I
mean, in a similar way to Shannon Dawson, who was up for a couple of head coaching jobs and was asked about it this week, and he said, well, I do my job here and I've hired people. So basically my agents and representatives, they make the contacts and they do the things. And at any point that I'm brought into the conversation, then I'm brought in. I think it's the same thing kind of with the portal. I think you have, I know you have a robust recruiting department, talent acquisition, paradigm and everything. And you let those people connect with the representatives, and you kind of set your parameters of what you're looking for and, whatever, and you kind of let them go with it to a point, and then in the times that you have allocated for evaluation and things like that, like you do that job. And we know that Mario Cristobal is tireless. We know that he is always focused on building this roster and recruiting and all these different kind of things. But yeah, you really lean on the program that you have in place, the structures that you have, and let those people do their job. So if you have a director of player personnel, which we do, if you have a recruiting department lead, which we do, you let those people really take the lead in that because they're not focused on-field pursuits presently. So, and then you focus your energy on field, and at such time that you need to get brought into the situation. And I'm sure they probably have meetings daily where, okay, cool. Even if it's a 15-minute walk with me meeting, like, cool. Y'all got, all the people who need to say something, walk with me because we're going over here, download me on the information, and then really turn your focus to it. And, Mario Cristobal said it on his Monday presser, like, okay, with this timeline and the calendar like it is, so basically cancel Christmas and do your job because the portal opens on January the 2nd. So you got to have this is where building and setting up a cohesive program comes to the forefront. Because if you're seeing all these players across the sport, they're letting all the, recruiting writers and journalists know through their agency or representation. So, okay, I'm the player. I tell my reps to do it. So then it's a big, my people call your people kind of a thing. And then we go get the big boss when it's time.
This is why you've built the infrastructure that Mario Cristobal has. And I just urge you, I don't even know if this is possible, but I'm sure it is because it's the cyberwebs, everything lives forever. Go look at the amount of staff that Miami has as it relates to football now compared to like 10 years ago or even, 7 years ago, whatever it is. Like it's exponentially greater. And it's because it's a 24/7, 365 sport that there's no days off, as Bill Belichick would say. By the way, I'm not worried about the portal because you can just give your cousin a call and we'll be all fine. On that note,
nice.
On that note, Cam, I look forward to meeting you sometime post game, whether that is Saturday or Sunday, and we will recap the game for everybody. And hopefully, we have another one to prepare for. Hopefully, we're doing the show a week from now, getting ready for Ohio State. In which case, I will be doing the show from blustery Connecticut or Boston, wherever I may be on my travels up to the Northeast to go see family. And then I will be depressed. It'll be dark at 4:00, and I'll be telling you why the 700 reasons why I moved to South Florida and have never moved back.
If you're going up there, when we do a show from up there, can we get you to do a stand-up outside like you're on the Weather Channel? Please.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll
only if it's actively like snowing and blustery and everything.
If it's blustery outside, I will do the like if I'm in Connecticut, I will do the show from my brother and sister-in-law's porch outside that is just open to the wild west of wind and weather.
I love that. For me, I will be entertained. So either way, definitely looking.
I will have earmuffs over my earbuds. It'll be amazing. On that note, let's go Canes. We will see everybody on the flip side. Let's hope it's after a victory. For Cam Underwood, managing editor, State of the U. Go check it out at stateoftheu.com. I'm Brian the Beast London. We will see you next time right here on the Real Ones Canes podcast. Peace.